We're back to the Neil Haley Show and also the Media Giant Effect. And this is an interesting topic, because when we think about keeping our audience engaged, excited, want to be here, not thinking they're sitting some boring, dried out thing like, oh, come on now, looking at the clock. Well, my guest today says she's going to help us with that. Kimeiko Rae. Kimeiko, thanks for stopping by. And it's true, keeping your audience engaged, because this is something I saw when I was on Clubhouse. So many people couldn't keep people engaged when, Clubhouse was at its hottest peak. I was there at highest peak, and I had audiences of 110 people in my room for 6 hours. While you see other ones are like, oh my gosh, when is time going to happen? You got to keep them engaged. You got to make it exciting. Isn't that true?
Absolutely. When our audience is not engaged, they are checking out and they're thinking about other things, right? They're checking their phone. They just don't want to buy, right? And it makes, if you're having a sales event, it makes sense that you would want them right there with you the whole time, not distracted. It's just the number one thing to not have your audience distracted. You want them listening to you.
No doubt. And you want them to listen to you, and you want them to be excited that you're listening. So what kind of tips do you offer to people? Because again, I hear this all the time, even guests on podcasts, as you saw when I did my talk, they ultimately don't know how to keep them engaged. They don't give them some really big takes to say, hey, I'm going to take home, I'm going to listen to this and say, this is something I want to do, especially when you send it out to your audiences and they could say, I didn't know that Kimeiko knows this, and you're introducing it to somebody for the first time.
Absolutely. My number one tip is to grab some help, okay? If you are not well-versed at keeping your audience engaged, especially, there's a lot of folks who are just starting out with speaking, even on Zoom events. If you're hosting a workshop or something, and you're just not known for being funny, having a lot of personality, and you don't want to work on that because you really want to deliver your genius to your audience, you don't want to worry about that, invite a friend that you have that has a lot of personality. You don't have to hire an MC, but to have somebody there with you that can help you be in the chat and chat with your audience. Say, hey, what is everyone grateful for today? Tell me where you're zooming in from today, just to help people know that they're a part of the experience, especially these days. With the Zoom events, with webinars, with things that people are just kind of watching, sitting back, being the audience member, like they're watching TV. Just when their energy drains, it's not going to be a good experience for you or for anyone. And so I say, bring in help. It's not a sign of weakness. It's totally fine to share the stage. Invite a friend, invite somebody to come and help you keep it going, keep the party vibe going.
I like that. So that's a great thing. And that was something I keep bringing up, because the experience on Clubhouse, there were certain people that were better mods that you had to have to keep engaged the whole time and keep it rolling so that you can keep going. And I'm sure that's a great idea with the Zoom event, because literally, if you have somebody that just has a genius and everything they say is gold, but when they have to keep them engaged and keep it going. Remember the days of Facebook Live when it was really great? Oh my goodness, where literally you had to get somebody in the chat room to keep it going until Facebook Live kind of died. But that was the thing that was so awesome but if you're not, especially if you're live yourself, and someone's not engaging in your comments and different things, you're not going to have them ask the right questions. You're not going to keep them there because they're bored and they've not gotten what they want. Forget it, they're out.
Yes, absolutely. If you're on camera, it adds visual interest. If you're audio only, it adds a little something of, oh, who else did I hear there? And also, if you've got so for people who have larger teams, there's usually a person on your team with a hidden talent, the gift of gab. Even if they're the one that's opening the letters and doing stuff like that, they're funny, they bring personality, your community loves them. So I say, look for someone on your team that can help you do this so that you can stay in your genius zone and you can offer what you're really brilliant at, instead of worrying about all that other stuff if it's not your talent point.
So what other tips do you have really quickly?
So another tip that I have is to enroll people from the beginning that you're going to ask them to do things to keep them energetic, right? I personally work in like the coaching industry, and there's this thing that people say of like, well, I'm not into that Tony Robbins rah stuff. I don't want to be moving my hands around and shaking around my energy. But if you let people know from the beginning it's for their benefit to do at least some of the rah-rah stuff, then they'll usually be with you. It's not as much of a struggle when you're like, okay, everyone clap along, and there's only like 4 people clapping along, and everyone else is like, let them know you're going to be asking them to do something kind of crazy, and then they'll be willing to go a little bit further with you when you do ask.
In professional wrestling, and when we had a dead crowd, I knew how to bring them back up, especially if it was a bad match. And I'm put on, we'll say, okay, the main event, and this place is just dead. how do I bring them back up? That's really simple. So it's really knowing how to get the audience going and participating. I think when you do speaking where they're not able to participate, that's why I like Q&A so much better, and not have as much of a talking session, because the questions are probably the best of speaking. So if you can split things up like that and not make it a whole keynote, people don't want to listen to someone talk for 45 minutes. You know what I mean? So that's where
Absolutely.
that's probably something that you're talking about as well.
Absolutely. And also, I want to say that, you know what, the energy is truly felt. There's sometimes you can feel the energy of a pin drop. We don't want to like, you could hear a pin drop because it's so silent. It also, you can feel it in the room when it's just dead energy. So it's just like keeping the energy up. You will feel it in your audience. And when you do, you will get feedback that it was felt. And you may be surprised. So,
Well, I'm excited to learn more about what you do. I mean, it's such great things. One more tip you can give us. Give us one
one
more.
more tip.
One more
Oh,
gem.
okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that one more tip is to bring in a professional live event MC. A live event MC can help in all kinds of different situations, but really they can help you run a through line, kind of like being a narrator at your event, and they can help address issues that you don't want to address, right? If you notice that people are talking, you don't want to be caught in the position of being the security guard at your event. You want to be the professional that is there to deliver your brilliance, right? But your live event MC can say, hey, everyone, please shut off the ringers on your phones. You know what I mean? They can do those things that you don't want to say. So it's kind of an opportunity to play good cop, bad cop. Invite
Yeah.
somebody else in to do those bad cop things so that you can just
You're
be
not
the
going to be
angel
the
on
bad
stage
cop,
that everyone's there
and
to see.
especially because we're not in virtual stages as much anymore. We're finally getting to the real stages, and that's fantastic, and that's exciting times. Where can people find information on you? Some great stuff. Where can we
Yes,
go?
absolutely. You can just Google Kimeiko Rae Vision, and I will be showing up on your Facebook. I've got a website, Kimeiko Rae Vision, and I would love to be in touch with everyone here in your audience. Thank you so much for listening, and thanks so much for having me here with you.
I appreciate it. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank
All right.
you.
You're welcome. You're listening and watching the Neil Haley Show, and we'll be back in just a moment.